Hi, I'm Carlton, and this is The Serving Effect, a podcast that celebrates the power of serving people and the community. In each episode, we're going to spotlight people, individuals, and organizations, those everyday heroes who are transforming lives and making a difference, building a stronger, more inclusive community. My prayer is that you'll see that everyone has the ability to serve others, and everyone has the ability to make a difference in the life of someone else. Today we have Robin Pate. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a wife and a mother and a caregiver to an elderly mother-in-law, and I am a volunteer leader with Operation Christmas Child.
Okay, so you have every excuse not to volunteer or be out there in the community. Let's go ahead and establish that. So if anyone is watching, they see that they have with you having all of this.
That's what my friends say.
There you go. There you go. So tell us a little about your hobbies and things that just interest you.
Well, if you came to my house right now, you would find plants growing. I've got sweet potato plants taking over the side of my yard. My deck is covered in vegetables and other herbs, and I haven't told my friends, so if they hear this podcast, one of them's going to croak. I've been hosting some ladies for summer Bible study in a room where I have a very composting set, and if you don't know what that is, that's worms.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully they're watching, so we want them to watch.
Also a
Maybe they missed this one part. Maybe they missed this one part.
They're interested in the bees and the honey, but I don't know about the worms.
The other. Begin to push us toward or lead us into the serving part. I mean, everybody has their unique journey of where it started, and we want to hear yours.
So I had a very tumultuous childhood. I was abused in almost every way prior to 3, including nearly starved to death. And I was rescued out of that into a Christian home, but I was still abused in the form of discipline there. So from age 3 to 14, I had bruises from my hips to my ankles. And the mental part of it took a lot longer to heal than those bruises did. But when I was 12, I asked the Lord to be my Savior, and I told him if he would save me, I would do whatever he called me to do, asked me to do. And somewhere around about that time, I also kind of reached this crisis moment where I just felt like I couldn't take the abuse anymore. And I was just asking God, why? Why have you let this happen to me? Why do I feel so alone in this? Because it's not like you can go talk to people about that. I know it wasn't an audible voice, or it probably wasn't, but to me in that moment, it was an audible voice said, so you can help other people. And I was like, okay. That was what I needed.
You answered the call. You answered the call to help people.
That just satisfied me in the moment. I thought, okay, I can put up with whatever I got to put up with, because the abuse didn't stop right then. It kept going, but I knew there was a purpose in it. So, I started serving pretty much right away in a startup church. I was teaching 3 to 4-year-old Sunday school class at age 13, became a camp counselor at our local youth camp. But then I moved to North Carolina, where my faith had to become my own. It was no longer what my parents believed. And so I was attending this small church. And really, I've thought about it, that church, they had nothing, but I got them to give back in so many ways, taking food to people and all these different things. But I became the VBS director there, and I didn't just want church kids to come. It's an outreach,
Right.
It should be, in your community. And so I would drive my car through local neighborhoods, and kids would get permission from the parents and just pile into the car and come to VBS. And I learned through the process of being that VBS director that usually the children who act the worst are the ones that need the most love.
Absolutely. So how did you get volunteers? I know most churches do some type of vacation Bible school for outreach to children, and it's very important to have hands on deck.
Yes.
It's not like having adults, but you need hands. What was your take on, or what was your experience with getting people to be there so that the experience that you wanted them to do, the gospel shared with children, would be successful?
Well, there's always people who know what they want to do, and they'll let you know, I want to do this or that, the other. Um, but there's other things that need to be done that people don't think about sometimes. So I would try to find the right place for each person where their gifting seemed to be what I had seen of their gifting if they didn't know. There was a moment towards the end of my being a VBS director where I was standing in the fellowship hall and just with my eyes closed, and somebody walked up and said, kind of cleared their throat, and I opened my eyes and I said, "Listen." And they listened and like, "What?" And then I said, "You hear that teacher in there teaching those children with just such passion of that story? And do you hear those craft ladies in there just excited about the craft and teaching those kids how to make crafts? And do you hear the ladies prepping the snacks, and they're joking and they're laughing and they're enjoying each other's company while they're making these delicious snacks for the kids? And do you hear the worship team and they're practicing the VBS music? And do you hear the guys outside that are doing the games and what fun they're having, how excited they all are?" And they're like, "Yeah." I said, "That's the body of Christ. We all have a different role, but together it just makes this harmonious
Yep.
thing." And then they were like, "Yeah, I just have a question."
Yeah, you're bringing out the joy of serving.
Yes.
I think we think when we volunteer we're doing something for someone else, and actually we're getting the blessing back when we're watching the children, or whatever you're doing when you're volunteering, if it's whatever it may be, like packing boxes with
Yes.
Operation Christmas Child. Now, you have a position. You've been doing this just a little while.
A little
Tell
while.
us a little bit about the Operation Christmas Child.
One day I opened up Facebook, I think it was, and there was an ad for Operation Christmas Child looking for volunteers in my area. And I remembered I'd heard about this a few years ago, and I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe that's something." So I met with a regional manager and had an interview. And during that time, I discovered that it was more than just packing a shoebox. I'd been packing shoeboxes since the early 90s, getting my churches to pack shoeboxes. I mean, there were times that when I would get to the drop-off location, we're on trying to get boxes to the drop-off location, there wouldn't even be room for my kid in the car. So we'd have to unpack boxes, put the kid in the car, then put boxes all around the car. And so that's how my name had actually gotten turned in as a potential volunteer, because they were like, they saw that passion. But this was, being that year round, not just packing the box, this was going to be more. And so then when the lady was talking to me, she starts talking about special access boxes. Well, I'd never heard of those. So special access boxes are white. They have nothing Christian, nothing Christmas, nothing American. They look kind of benign when you compare it to our red and green boxes
Right.
full of whatever. But there's still school supplies and toys and hygiene items in there. Those boxes are given out one at a time or one family at a time, and the gospel is shared verbally in heavily Muslim areas.
Okay.
And that just rung with me, because for a while I had felt overwhelmed with, this is a group of people that it's hard for us to relate to, for us to minister to. Like, Lord, how do we reach them? And Operation Christmas Child had found a way. And so I wanted to be part of that. And so that's how I got started. So I am what they call a leader volunteer, and I lead an area team. I've been with a different team since 2015, but in 2024, God called me to help start a team here in the Lower Wake area.
Okay. So your area covers Wake County?
Just the lower part of Wake
Lower
County. The boundaries
part
are
of Wake
weird, so.
Okay. All right. Well, that works out. Still volunteer, weird lines, but
Yes.
that's okay. That's interesting. If you're watching and you need any kind of information, one of the best things that I did was I went to the Operation Christmas Child, and there is no question that's not unanswered on that. From videos to how to pack to what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Just an incredible job of how many ways you can be a
Yes.
volunteer and do it the right way. I mean, I
Yes.
think some people would pack a box and be worried that maybe they put the wrong thing in there, but
Yes.
there's every question. I mean,
Oh, yeah, we have a
everything.
list now, which is probably my favorite thing. One of my favorite things. A list. On one side is what you can get for a girl by age, and on the other side, what you can get for boys by age.
Okay.
So you don't have to wonder anymore. These are the things you can put in a
Yeah. It
shoebox.
even had how to get your family involved, and it shows the
Yes.
family packing. And so that's something that is a family activity. You're volunteering, but you're bringing your whole family in, which we see that's a great way of getting someone who's a child to go into an adult who's serving,
Yes.
because they've seen this and they've seen practical ways that they can serve in their community. I think sometimes when we talk about volunteers, we look at the biggest picture of the most commitment, and we can't do that. We have a
Exactly.
busy
So then
life.
we just back
Right,
out.
right. So it's a really good website and a lot of good information on that. Is there is there anything? I know you've shared several things that are just like those moments, but with Operation Christmas Child or in your journey of serving, is there anything that just kind of stands out that this was just that moment? I know the Vacation Bible School was an incredible moment, but was there anything else that just it just really made serving the joy? That was one of those aha moments.
A church in a very even, I mean, everywhere was poor, but this area was beyond. It was just a next level of poor. And the children, I have pictures of their clothes with so many holes that you just don't even know how it's hanging on the child. And so the culture there was not a good culture as far as families, raising families. The fathers weren't staying around. They would have one family, then go have another family, and that's what they would teach the men to do, the boys. When they got to be older, they would teach them this is what you need to do, have lots of children. And so the church wanted us to help pass out the shoe boxes. So I've got a box in my hand, and this little boy comes and stands in front of me. He's about 9, I think. And I look at his clothes, and I realize his clothes are the same age I am. I'm a 70s child, and his clothes were made in the 70s. And I mean, the seams were all coming undone of his and every other child. I didn't know there were so many seams, but the seams are all coming undone. But he's standing there so hopeful, and I've got this box in my hand, and I just meant to say a quick little prayer like, Lord, please make this a good box, because we have a program called the Greatest Journey program that we call VBS on steroids. It's a 12-week discipleship program, and through that program, we know that almost 9,000 children every day are coming to Christ. So I want this little boy, when the pastor asks him to come back to that program, I want him to be so happy with his box that he comes back, that he learns about Jesus, that he meets Jesus, that he has life change. And so I'm saying that prayer, but then all of a sudden it's like I just see this movie of children going through my mind from all the different countries, colors, ages, sizes, abilities. Just every child needs Jesus. So they all need a well-packed box. And so that's kind of been what has fueled me ever since then. That little boy's name was Happy. I have prayed for Happy, and Happy did get a good box. He got a soccer ball.
Outstanding.
But I still pray for Happy. I don't know what became of him. I probably, if I dug into it, I could probably find out. But whatever is going on in his life, I'm still praying for him.
Okay. So if I'm sitting there wanting to know what can I do, something practical, I know that is there a certain period of time that you pack the boxes, or is that a year-round thing?
It is the people who are most successful at it do pack year-round. They start collecting supplies throughout the year, and my team can certainly help people find out about that. In fact, well, right now, this won't air right now, but the Amazon Prime sale it's a good time to shop.
Right, right. Well, we'll hope there will be a Christmas prime time.
Yeah, well,
what-
yeah, they'll have another
yeah,
day
yeah,
closer.
it will be. So they
But
can pack a box, and,
so-
and I like the
but they
idea
can
that pack a good box.
pack
I
a good
mean,
box. So
put some
yes,
put some
good
time
things
into
in
it
there.
and thought in it and
A
prayer
wow
in it.
item. We always
Wow,
want something
wow
that
item.
when the child opens the box, they say wow. So that can be a stuffed animal, it can be a deflated soccer ball, it can be a pair of shoes. Just pray about it. How the Lord leads you. Something that makes the child say wow. So certainly, anybody can pack shoe boxes, from children to the elderly. I mean, there are, elderly people that are packing bunches of boxes. So there is definitely something can do. Then during National Collection Week, which is the third week in November, always ends the Monday before Thanksgiving. That is a week when you can come and physically serve. We need people to greet. We need people to put shoe boxes into cartons, and then we need guys and people who have good shoulders and muscles to lift those cartons into trucks. So that's one way. You can also go to a processing center and make sure that the boxes are fun and full and that they will clear customs. So not everything will clear
A
customs.
lot of different opportunities.
Yes, so
there.
there's an opportunity to serve there. But then we have also year-round volunteers, and I am trying to build a team here, so we are looking for year-round volunteers
Okay.
to do things to help others and to get more people packing shoe boxes.
This has been very enjoyable because I've packed boxes, but I've never heard a story. I've seen a video, but never heard a personal story from someone. This concludes our episode of The Serving Effect. If you would like to know more about Operation Christmas Child, as I said earlier, that the website is just amazing. If this story has inspired you, let me encourage you to share it with someone who may be not serving, doesn't know the joy of serving. Thank you for sharing these inspiring stories. Thank you for your commitment to Operation Christmas Child. And I hope that with this episode that there'll be a harvest of volunteers that will come out and build your team up so that you can continue to do what God's called you to do.
Thank you, Carlton. Thank you for having me.
I want to take this opportunity to thank Smith Addressing and Machine Service for hosting the location where we do our podcast, The Serving Effect, and to our sponsors, the Morning and the Midday Rotary Clubs of Garner. We want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to share in this podcast of how people can get involved in their community and make a difference in the lives of others.